The very last place you want to have a connection problem is probably 250 miles away from Earth, floating in outer space. But yesterday, that's what happened. In Houston, Texas, a NASA power outage temporarily shut off communication between Mission Control and the International Space Station. There were 7 astronauts in orbit at the time. Russian communication systems notified the crew of the outage and helped Mission Control reconnect with the crew. In Texas, NASA turned to its backup control system, which is designed for weather-related outages. This backup system took over within 90 minutes. NASA says that neither the astronauts nor the space station was in any danger. But how lousy to lose contact when you're in outer space, right? And move over UFOs. It is now UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomena. Earlier today, not 1, but 3 military whistleblowers testified before a House subcommittee. These 3 whistleblowers accused executive branch agencies of keeping Congress in the dark for years about mysterious objects. Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett says their testimony is uncovering the, quote, biggest cover-up in history. Here's more of his opening statement.
We need to tell the folks at the Pentagon they work for us. Dadgummit, we don't work for them. This is an issue of government transparency. We can't trust a government that does not trust its people. We're not bringing little green men or flying saucers into the hearing. Sorry to disappoint about half y'all. We're just going to get to the facts.
Okay, so maybe no green men, but one of the whistleblowers, former U.S. Navy pilot Ryan Graves, described this unexplained encounter with his squadron.
During a training mission in Warning Area Whiskey 72, 10 miles off the coast of Virginia Beach, 2 F-18 Super Hornets were split by a UAP. The object, described as a dark gray or a black cube inside of a clear sphere, came within 50 feet of the lead aircraft and was estimated to be 5 to 15 feet in diameter. The mission commander terminated the flight immediately and returned to base. Our squadron submitted a safety report, but there was no official acknowledgement of the incident and no further mechanism to report the sightings.
And then there's this incredible exchange between Congresswoman Nancy Mason, a former intelligence officer in the U.S. Air Force, David Grush. Grush alleges that officials had direct knowledge of aircraft with, quote, non-human origins and biologics were recovered from some craft.
Biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
Advisor to Americans for Safe Aerospace and former senior national correspondent for Politico, whose beat was UFOs, Bryan Bender, joins me. Good evening, Bryan. Okay, what did you learn from the hearing? What surprised you?
Well, I mean, we didn't really learn anything new in terms of what these pilots have been reporting, in terms of what Mr. Grush has come forward and claiming about a secret UFO crash retrieval program. But I think what we saw today was a determined bipartisan effort in Congress to break through the wall, so to speak, to hold the executive branch's feet to the fire and say, what do you know that you're not telling us about these sightings, the ones that are occurring, according to pilots, virtually every day, but also, you know, what do you got buried in the secret programs in the Pentagon or at defense contractors, perhaps decades old, that could very well, you know, be about craft or beings of non-human origin. I think Congress really showed today, this committee showed that they're serious about this. They can have a sober conversation about it. They can ask tough questions. And, you know, most of them seem to be very open-minded about what the answers might be. But clearly the bad guy in the room was the Pentagon, the intelligence agencies, who Congress feels is just not being straight.
Did Grush have anyone else who described something similar?
Well, I mean, I think it's important to point out that David Grush, who I have interacted with previously, is a very credible guy. He's got a very good track record as an intelligence officer in the Air Force and then at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. But he is the first to say that he is talking about programs that people describe to him. In other words, he has not seen these crash retrieval programs. He's not seen alien bodies, for example. And I think that's important to highlight. I mean, these are secondhand reports. Of course, in
All right, where was-
classified session, he says he can provide even more detail about the where and the when and the who, but we have not heard that yet. In Congress, as far as I can tell, most of them have not heard it yet either.
All right, well, maybe they should go into a skiff and hear this classified stuff. All right, was the Pentagon there? Or what is the Pentagon saying? I mean, like, you know, I mean, Congress has some oversight, and you've got, you know, reputable people coming up and saying, you know, these are very suspicious things we'd like to learn more about. Pentagon seems not to want to talk about it. So, you know, does the Pentagon, you know, are they hiding something?
Well, I mean, I think that the Pentagon has an office now, which Congress established last year, called ARROW, the All-Domain Anomalous Resolution Office. It's a terrible acronym and a terrible name, but they're supposed to be the belly button, so to speak, that is going into the military branches, the intelligence agencies, and collecting information. What do you got on UAP, so that we can brief Congress? Because, you know, that's the law now. Congress has passed several laws over the last few years demanding that they do this. But the question remains whether this Pentagon office actually has access to everything. I mean, they're one office. It's very small. It's a handful of people. And, you know, they can say that they have representation from all of these secret alphabet soup agencies. But if those agencies don't actually give them the information they have, you know, these special access programs and very highly classified projects, then, you know, they only know what they know. And so, you know, I think there's a big question here about whether they're getting all the information.
And, you know, and I always think, like, you know, what's the big secret? Maybe if they put some of this out there, some very industrious private industry people could help and disprove or prove or whatever. But anyway, so many secrets in this town. Bryan Bender, thank you.
Thank you.